I'm John Beaudin. Here's part one of our interview, or third interview with Pete Agnew of Nazareth. We look at 1975, one of their biggest years. Remember, if you want to check out the whole interview, it's on our sister site, Rock History Book, and there's links to that and the podcast of this interview as well in the description of this video. Before the next teardrop falls, Freddie Fender, Philadelphia Freedom, Elton John. It was the Born to Run time with Bruce Springsteen. A lot of us had Night at the Opera by Queen. There was so much great music. I was 15 years old. I don't know how old you were, but chances are you remember that year. Biggest year for Nazareth with their album Hair of the Dog, the title song, and Love Hurts. We talk about that and more with Pete Agnew, part one. In 1975, it's amazing that, I was 15 years old when this was everyone was talking about, especially, I'm in Canada. When the first time we talked, I was in Calgary. Now we moved across the country to Moncton, New Brunswick, where I'm from. And I remember, being here in New Brunswick back then. And when Hair of the Dog came out, it's kind of like one of those things. If you didn't like Nazareth, you had no choice now. You had to like Nazareth, no matter what, even though I love Razmanaz a lot and stuff that came before it. But what was it? It was like it's like you guys were in the perfect storm of everything, like having two huge songs, the title song and Love Hurts. Is there an explanation for it, or is it just like good timing, or you were in the groove? How do you look back at 75, for instance?
No, the whole album was that hit was an accident. It was an accident. The whole was an accident because what happened is when we did Hair of the, what they call Hair of the Dog. Come on, let's face it, it's called Son of a Right. That was the name of the track, and we were calling it that. And then when we went to A&M with the album title, they went, "Oh man, Sears won't sell it. You can't call it that." And we thought, "What do you mean?" Because you see where we come from in Britain. Son of a bitch isn't a word, and that's not nobody uses that. It's not a saying. It means nothing. It's a thing that John Wayne says. As far as we were concerned, we thought, well, if John Wayne says it, it must be holy. It must be. Anyway, we were told we couldn't call the album that, so we said, okay. So we were going to call it Hair of the Dog, just to be cheeky. And then we thought, all right. So, excuse me. It became. I did to clear my throat here. I've got I had COVID and I've got rid of it now, and I've still got a bit of cough.
You had it? You had COVID?
Yeah. It was no big deal. It's gone now. Just got a bit of cough lingering on. Anyway, back to I digress. What happened was the Hair of the Dog thing. We called it Hair of the Dog, right? That was fine. Now that track, when we gave the album to A&M, Love Hurts wasn't on that album. It was only on the albums everywhere else in the world. The slow one it was on was called Guilty, a song by Randy Newman. If you see all the other copies, that's what's on that. Not the North American one, the American one. Jerry Moss heard Love Hurts and he said, "I'm putting that on the album because this is the one I like." So thank God that he did, right? And so that went on the album. And what happened was when it was getting played, it was always the AM stations would play that, but they would never have played Hair of the Dog, Son of a Bitch. No way. But what happened is you had at that time, you had all the college stations at that time, and they were great. The college stations, of course, when this Love Hurts thing came out, and they heard on they heard this other thing, the Son of a went, the one we're going to play. So they started playing that all the time. So that's how that became a hit. That would never, ever have been a hit if Love Hurts hadn't been on there in the first place. For people to hear that album, That other one would never have been a hit on its own. It would never have been a hit, So that was absolutely, and it was an accident. The album began, and even, it's so funny, Love Hurts was an accident because the whole thing is really, it's the jammiest thing that ever happened to us, that album, Because when we did Love Hurts, we did it as a B-side. And what happened is when we recorded it, we were in the studio. Dan and I went away for a day to a wedding up in Scotland. We flew up to a wedding. And while we were away, Manny and Darryl stuck down the back track. We used to listen to Graham Parsons and Emmylou Harris singing on the Grievous Angel album. We used to listen to Love Hurts when we were driving around. And we always used to like it when through the night driving in the van and things. And we thought, we'll do that as a B-side, for one of the next single comes out. So they recorded it, but they recorded it in the same key. when we come back, they said, "Oh, we recorded it." And I went, "I'll stick a bass on it," right? So I went and stuck a bass on it, and it said, "Oh, that sounds okay." So we were going to do it with Dan and me singing it like them, like the Everly Brothers thing with a harmony and stuff. So Dan went in to sing it, and it was like, "No, this. It's too low. It just didn't sound, it did nothing for his voice." So we thought, "Nah, we'll just leave that." If we had been there, we'd have recorded it in a different key, because Dan and I would have went, "No, the vocal doesn't sound good there." We'd have changed the key so we could have sung it together. But so it happens. So anyway, Dan went, "I'll tell you what, let me try singing it on the octave." So he went in and he started singing it the octave up, and we went, "Well, the best of luck, pal, because when you get to the middle, you're just going to, you'll blow your back teeth out." So I was sitting waiting to have a laugh, and he sung this thing, and it was, I was there, I saw this happen, and I saw this vocal taking place, and it just blew us away. It was just unbelievable. This vocal, my God, it's just one of the best vocals ever. And he did that, and that would never have been sung like that if that hadn't been done in really the wrong key. So between that being in the wrong key, that thing not being on the album in the first place, getting put on there, and Hair of the Dog or Son of a Bitch being heard because of that, there you go, stick it on the big mixing bowl. And that became the biggest album in North America. That the whole thing was completely not by design, let me tell you. When we went in to record that, we didn't think, "Well, here you go, we've got this great album." Well, we thought we had a good album, but we didn't think this is the one that's going to do it. You see, you've got to remember that, in America, they talk about that one because that was the first hit in there. We never had any hits in America. We had hits all over the world with Razamanaz, Loud and Proud, Rampant. All these albums had done really. We had gold albums and platinum albums for them, but we couldn't get arrested in the United States, And when that album, that was the one that broke through there. Now, if I'd have looked at all the albums we had and said which one is going to crack it in the States, I wouldn't have picked that. I'd have thought Razamanaz, Loud and Proud, but that was the one that did it. And all it did it with this lovely song called Love Hurts and a wee sweary word at the other end, and there you go, what a way. And what's so funny about it, John, when you think about it, you can't say it. Can you imagine now, these days, "I'm sorry, we can't put your album because you said son of a..." These days it would say, you put that in a hymn.
Hey, listen, I got to tell you, man to man, this is a freaking amazing album.
Oh, great. I'm glad you like it.
Like, I don't only like, I like, my son walks in the room and says, "Who is this?" I'm going, "Isn't this amazing? It's like, it's fresh. How do you, okay. You know what? I'm 62. You've got years on me. I'm trying to do the best work of my life because I'm watching the clock. That's why I'm doing it. But how do you come up with this? This sounds like a brand new band. This sounds like it's fresh. It's got energy. Come on, tell me about this.
It is in a way, though, it's like a brand new band, really, because it's the second album that we've done with the new singer. We did Tattooed on My Brain, which was a really good album, and I think we've got another 3 years of having that lineup together since then, and playing together. So, well, mind you, for 2 years of that we've been in jail, really. Yeah, when you think about it. I don't know. I think again, with everybody with the writing the songs and things, I think maybe there's a bit of anger on the album, just with what's been going on. I think with the songs and writing the songs, I think people were a bit pissed off, and it kind of shows. It does. I've got to say that I really enjoyed making the album. It was, and when we were doing it, I felt as if we had something. There's an album that I've really, really, really loved for as long as Dennis Wilson's Pacific Ocean Blue. Mm-hmm. The album was about that, and this album gave me that vibe that I had listening to that album. I remember at the time listening to that, going, "God, where did this come from? This sounds right." So and that's what I feel about this one, and how you're saying about this one. And it's hard to, I don't know. It's all the songs seem to gel as well. They all go with one another, although they're not the same as one another. and it's created a really good. It's a good mood on the album. It's a little bit dark at times, but it's heavy, and it's energetic. I think that's the thing.
Remember, if you want to check out the whole interview, it's on our sister site, Rock History Book, and there's links to that and the podcast of this interview as well in the description of this video. We'll have a next clip from Pete Agnew in 2-3 days. Make sure you comment on our videos, subscribe to our channel, and share our videos. Also, like our videos. It makes them perform a lot better. If you want to donate to the channel, you can. There's a PayPal link right in the description. But you can also buy a t-shirt. That helps us too. I'm John Beaudin from Rock History Music.